What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Country Boy Gas Garage. My name's Jason, and in this video we're going to take a look at this pile of projects that we've got going on here and figure out what the heck is going on. What are we going to do and what's the future plans? So let's go. Well, I'm starting to feel like I got too many projects piled up on me here. You know, we got the Rat Rod, the Nova, the 59, the S10, the 48 bus. Let's start with the El Camino. This is what we've been working on most recently and did a whole series on it. I'm sure most of you already know. But let's take a moment to talk about where we're at and what the plans are for this thing. Looking nice with that Poppy's Patina clear coat. Now we've dubbed this car Rosarita, and she's got a lot more work to do still. Now, of course, we did a lot of work with this car, and most of you that follow along know it's taken a couple of years to get to this point. Thing back together and fire it up. Let's go. Pretty good progress this last summer. Got it running, driving, got it back on the road. Took it to the Emerald City Shakedown.
Guys, we're doing it. We're driving the El Camino. And we're on our way to the Emerald City Shakedown. Let's go.
Awesome. Of course, we ran into some issues though, and it broke down and overheated, and figured we had blown head gaskets, so I pulled the heads off, replaced the head gaskets, intake gaskets, resealed the top end, put it all back together. Still dealing with the same issue. So we've either got cracked heads or something more severe. Let's take a look here. You know, this bar grill, it's kind of hard to get up in here to the... There we go. There we go. So yeah, the last time this thing was driven was in that last video where we took it on another test drive after replacing the head gaskets, and we had the same issue. We had coolant and water going into the motor and out the combustion chamber and out the exhaust. And we're burning coolant. And I haven't done nothing since. I parked it in here and now it's been sitting for about a month. We haven't done nothing. Even those front tires that had slow leaks have leaked out. We're on flats up front. And so I'd been putting so much work into this car that I was just fed up at that point and had to walk away from it. You know, I did a little bit of work to my wife's Jeep so I could get that on the road. We did the revival on the S10. And I am going to have to get back to this car and finish where we left off. I suppose we could probably pull those heads off one more time and look closer and see if there's any cracks or if there's any flaws in the motor that we could see. But likely I'm going to have to just ditch this motor and start over with a different one. Well, we'll give it a couple weeks and I'll get back and tear into this. And once we get the motor situation resolved, then I can get back to getting these headlights finished off and getting all this trim put back on it. Remember, we got all the trim and belt line trim and everything we need to put all this back together. And of course the interior needs done. I'm thinking about reupholstering that front seat myself, so that's a bit down the line, but that'd be something new I've never done before, so maybe we'll give that a try. Looking good in here with the shine, but we need to get it running right. I'm hoping that we'll be able to work on it through the winter. And if you guys have been following along with the channel for a couple years now, you know that this garage was just a metal shed, and it was uninhabitable during the winter. It was just frozen in here, or just raining down condensation. Ground is just gravel. It was just mushrooms growing in the corner. Everything was moldy, rusting. It's not a good environment. You couldn't work in here during the winter. And a couple years ago, I insulated the whole thing, which improved it a lot. But I still don't have doors on the garage. It's still wide open, so I can't really run a heater in here. I have a diesel heater that I'd like to install in here, but without doors, that's going to be pointless. So I may have to do what I did last year and just seal it up with some plastic and tarps to make do, but then that traps the car and everything in here. I'd like to have doors that I could open up and move it in and out. Now, you might ask, why don't you just buy doors? I'm on a super tight budget here on the Homestead. I've already dumped any extra money we had into the projects here. I can't really dump much more into the garage without jeopardizing our finances here at the Homestead. So that's where I have to get crafty and make do with what I got, or just do without. So worst comes to worst, like I said, we'll put some plastic up over there. We'll seal it up. But my point is that I want to get a heater in here and start working year round. Be out here all winter, continuing with the projects. I don't like the fact that when the weather turns south for the winter here, that nothing gets done. So my goal is to get a door on the garage, so then we could put the diesel heater in here and be working all winter. And you see my new sign back here? Let's take a look at that. Thank you, Hyperlight. Now, the LEDs are kind of tripping out with the phone camera here. And I got this from Hyperlight, this neon light. It's not real neon, of course, but it really looks like it, and they could do almost any custom image. It's pretty cool. It does come with a remote, so you could actually like change the brightness, and there's different functions too. Mode, yeah, just, you know, you can make it do different stuff. Pretty cool. I'm super stoked on it. Thanks, Hyperlight. All right, back to the cars. So we've got the El Camino on pause for just a little bit. Gonna dig in that motor a little bit more. We'll start putting some trim on it, touch up this interior, keep working on this car, and next year, hopefully really get to enjoy it more than we did this year. You know, we got the couple drives, which is what I really wanted to do, and took it to the car shows, and we had a good time. But more in store on this car. You know, of course, most of you know the 70 Nova. I've had this car for 34 years now. Been driving it since I was 16. It's in need of some love. It's been my daily driver for the last year and a half now, until a couple weeks ago when the B&M ratchet shifter cable broke and I was stuck in neutral. I was able to get in through the engine bay and reach down to the transmission and shift it into drive manually, and I was able to drive it home, but here it sits stuck in drive. And I did order a new cable for that B&M ratchet shifter, so we're gonna have to install that ratchet shifter, get this one back on the road. But I did recently get my wife's Jeep running, which I'm gonna use for a daily driver. The plan was to use this S10 for the daily driver, but of course, if you saw the last video, it needs a new transmission. So working on getting the transmission for that, and in the meantime driving my wife's Wrangler for the daily driver. Now, since we're out here, how many of y'all remember this? Chevy square body. We did a revival on this probably 3 or 4 years ago. Was it 78, 1 ton, 4x4, big block, 4-speed with dump bed. This thing runs great, pretty good shape. There's a few little dings and dents around it, but for the most part, this thing is straight. It needs it's been sitting here years, so it definitely needs cleaned up. But when I did do the revival last time, I did shine it up, and this thing looks great. But my landlord doesn't want to sell it, but at the same time doesn't do anything with it. It just sits here. We planned on taking it to the dumping the bed full of trash, but we never did get the insurance or the tags put back on it. So after sitting here this long, we may have to do another revival on it again. And the other vehicle out here is the old rat rod. Now this one, me and my buddy Kelly built this years and years ago. I mean 15 years ago maybe. And we never did quite get it finished. We had to move in the middle of the build, and it kind of lost momentum, and has been parked out here for years now. Now Kelly did a lot of the fabrication. This old Willie's cab, he chopped and channeled over the frame. We bobbed the bed. He suicide perched this old Model A front end on this old Chevy frame. Chevy small block 350, turbo 350 transmission, an old 10-bolt rear end out of the Nova. It's you know, we're working on getting the floors done. It's got a brand new master cylinder that never got finished putting in over there. Cool shifter, you know, some buckets. This thing needs to be finished up, but I'm kind of waiting on him to help me because this was a project we did together, and I feel like I want his help to finish. He did the spiderweb motif in that grill shell, but yeah, we did we had the 1930 Model A front suspension, and we did do the juice brake conversion on these, so I think I got early 40s backing brakes with some Speedway wheel cylinders, and we did the conversion kit. You know, we split the wishbones and made some radius arms and just suicide perched it to that frame. I still need to plumb in the brakes the rest of the way, and we need to finish the steering. We never did come up with, I just got this tied up here so we could push it around, but we need to figure out some steering, you know, plumb the brakes, get a cooling system wired up. Most of the fabrication has been done, at least the rough fabrication. I mean, we were in mid-chop when we stopped. We did pancake the roof by taking off that top. It was really bulbous, so we took that off. We're gonna put some snaps with some leather, make a leather removable top. So we need to get back into this thing. This thing's cool. 58 Chevy taillights, some tall white walls, pretty cool. And then of course, last but not least, the old 48 Ford bus. Most of you guys know this. This is where most of my subscribers came from, was the whole revival of this bus. which is pretty amazing. That whole thing went viral, millions of views, and this is such a cool bus, gets so much attention. But as you can see, it kind of just sits here now. Like I was saying, the project kind of lost momentum. I mean, we got it running good. Like I said, it went through the whole thing mechanically. Started taking it to car shows and car cruises, having a blast with it. We haunt it, we decorate it and haunt it for Halloween and enter it in the Hooligans Car Club trunk or treat event. And that's a hoot. We have a blast. It's legit scary.
Here comes some naughty. Oh, these ones I like to eat your finger. Oh, would you like some candy? You want to go in this way? Here you go. You can have.
And we plan on doing that again, but this thing has been sitting here for almost a year now. Since last Halloween, we haven't done nothing to it in about a year. It's just been sitting here. Other than using it for storage. As you can see, this thing is a disaster. We've just been using it for storage, throwing stuff in here. But this bus really deserves more than this. We got to figure out what the next step is for this bus. You know, mechanically it's working good, but there's still some fabrication work that needs to be done. You know, this windshield and this cowl leak water so bad. This is so rusty up in here. These windows leak water, and then where the cowl meets the front nose of this, where they've joined the two together, it just leaks so bad, and it's just rusted through here, rusting all of this up. When it rains, it just pours water in here. So really, the section where the cowl meets this, right in here where all this gunk is just rotted out and water's running through there. Previous owner tried to seal it. I kind of did my own job as well, trying to slow it down. But really, we need to strip all this out and probably weld in a new strip of metal in there to stop that water flowing, and then maybe new glass and rubber up here, because these are, you know, fading out and leaking really bad. This rubber is hard as can be. So that's that. And then the doors. These doors are pretty rough. Like this one at the bottom, rusted out. That's actually where the bracket is supposed to mount to work this door. It's just floppy here, and window's broken. The seal to the window is just deteriorated. So the doors also need work. Let me show you the back one. I mean, most of the body is aluminum and is fine, but the doors are pretty rough. Like this is the back door, and as you can see, it's falling apart, and the bottom of it is just rusted out. And you know, the window's missing. We've just got plexiglass there. So both doors need some metal work at the bottom portion, and the windows replaced. As a matter of fact, all these back windows probably need replaced, because this is so bad. These are all leaking as well. Both these rear windows, you can see how this rubber is just gone. I could almost put my finger in there. Those are leaking really bad. This one over here is also just plexiglass. And then, well, this one has the bullet hole. The mystery bullet hole that we still don't know the story behind. So we need to get some windows, doors, and this front cowl worked on. And that would really seal this thing up and make it watertight. And then we could actually get some work done in here. I feel like once it was watertight and we weren't leaking water in here, then we could actually do some interior work. You know, I'd mentioned it a few times, and a lot of the people that saw the video had mentioned it too, saying how this would make such a great RV conversion. And that's what me and my wife thought when we first found this bus was, let's make a little RV out of it, go traveling with the kids and stuff. But once we got it home and did all the work and took it to the car shows and stuff and realized how cumbersome it is to drive. It's not practical. It's loud and noisy and hot and not easy to drive, this old bus. And then with all the leaks, we just haven't done much with it other than an occasional cruise. But How cool would it be to get that all fixed and then put a bed back here and some storage, maybe a little kitchenette, and then we could take the kids camping or go traveling as a family in this whole bus, bring life back into it. You know, I wouldn't want to do anything that would harm the bus as far as like cutting holes in it or covering windows. I'd actually like to do a pretty minuscule RV build, like just a bed and storage in the back, but not blocking the windows, still keeping it all the viewpoints open, and the bed would just be down below the windows. And then if we did do any kind of storage or a little kitchenette over here, it would be low below the windows and just up here out of sight. So for the most part, it would look stock, but once you got in here, you could close up some curtains, take it camping. I also plan on putting a battery bank in here with an inverter so we could have a power supply in here. You know, I could run a DC to DC charger off the alternator and run a battery bank, and then we could have some inverter power, and then we'd be set up. But as much as I want to do all that stuff, that all costs money, and we don't have a whole lot of money up here. Most of this stuff we barely scrape by, and as much as I just dumped in that El Camino, we've got to let the credit cards cool down a bit, if you know what I mean. We got to take some time to recoup some money and pay some bills, and of course also doing all that work in the garage takes a lot of my time away from my family. So this time of year, I slow down, spend some time with the family, and usually kind of switch over to the second channel, which is more based around our home, our homestead up here. I have a second channel called Country Family Forest Homestead, and that goes into more detail about our off-grid home up here. So So if anybody's interested in watching any of that content, you know, make sure to go over and check out that channel as well. That's kind of where we're at a little bit more during the winter time, is focused on that channel. It's not as interesting, but some people still enjoy it. It's stuff that, you know, being that we live off grid, we got to get a firewood supply for winter, get the property all buttoned up, get the animals prepared. You know, I got to run heat lamps to the chickens and secure the fencing, and just a lot of mundane little chores that I got to do that I kind of put off until the last minute because I'm working on the cars in the shop. But I got to try to juggle that all this winter, guys. Like I was telling you, I'm going to get doors on the garage and put a heater in there. So I don't plan on slowing down too much. And as a matter of fact, I got something special in store for this channel as well. I do got a special series coming up this winter. I can't really say too much about it right now because it's still in the works, but I'm telling you guys, you're going to dig it. Maybe I could give you a little hint. Epic barn find you won't believe. I can't say more. You're going to have to wait and find out. We're going to have a whole series. You won't want to miss it, so stay tuned for that. But it's hot in this bus. Let's go back in the shop. All right. So yeah, the purpose of this video, I guess, is to give you guys all the updates on all the vehicles, show you where we're at, and to ensure you that I ain't going anywhere this winter. We're going to stay working all winter in this garage. Like I say, we'll get the doors, we'll get a heater in here, and we'll stay working all winter, as well as doing the homesteading channel. So go check out Country Family Forest Homestead as well. Now, I appreciate everybody that subscribed to my channel, and if you're not, please hit that subscribe button. And of course, thank you to all my members. Huge shout out to you guys. Once again, I couldn't do this without you, and I appreciate you all. And if you're not a member of the channel yet, please consider joining. And it's with your guys' help that we're getting these cars back on the road one part at a time. So thank you. And of course, till next time, peace.